Recording.
Hi! Welcome to Edder's way of showing you how to do things in a non-traditional way as far as bending metal. Now, first thing we gotta do is play it safe. Therefore, we got gloves to protect our hands, of course, because we have other tasks outside of the shop. And the most important thing is our eyes, so we must protect those as well. So let me just put these on so I can protect my brown beauties and then go from there. Alright, so what we're going to do is bend metal in a non-traditional way. Now, we could always forge metal, we could manually bend metal in many ways, but this is the one way that I came up with for it to be effective. Come this way and I'll show you exactly how I did it. Now, obviously when you're working with metal, they come in different sizes, gauges, and whatnot. However, when you have square stock like this, which is 1/8 thick, and it's a little hard to bend, you know, so you really can't work with this much manually. Therefore, I'm not going to show you how to do anything with this because you need heat for this, and my option is not to show you anything with heat. Therefore, we're going to set this aside. I'm going to show you how to bend something like this down to make curves on it to what you want to make it work for. So, when you have something like this, which is, this is round stock, solid, and when you take this, it's pretty bendable, and this is a short piece. However, you can have longer pieces to make it much easier. Now, when you're going to use this, you're also going to use something like this, which is this 1/2 inch solid round stock. But this is a different process. Let's talk about how to bend this right now. And how we're going to bend this is with a jig. And a jig is, give me 1 second, so right there. A jig is something that you prepare to make your bending easier. Now, this could be very mathematical and equation based, or it could be random based, depending on what you're trying to do. However, I am not trying to make it an equation based bend. So this is just based on randomness. So what you do is you take a very solid flat panel. This is about 1/4 inch thick of solid steel with welded 1/4 inch rods on it, solid rods. And yes, if you see them, they are not straight up because I use recycled materials, which is this is what it's all about. It's using recycled materials. So when you take recycled materials, you can use them to their advantage. And in this case, for example, for what I'm trying to do is bend this little thing right here. You just simply place it however you want to place it, which is all by eye, depending on what you want to do, and you decide your angles or bends per se. And you simply just place them down however you like, and you simply bend. And this is all manually, so it's a simple tug and twist, just like that. So you see how easily I created that. And then you can simply come back to a different area of the jig and change the trajectory, and it'll give you a different bend. And now you have something building from that. And you can keep doing that depending on what you want to achieve. Now, in this case, I'm not trying to achieve anything specifically, but I can tell you that through manual manipulation of the steel, you can achieve anything you'd like, even up to flat stock, which will end up with something like this. These used to be flat stock, and this was used on this actual jig. And you can see where it fits in perfectly. And you just keep bending away, and you just little arm muscle, little tug and pull, and it gets you what you want to achieve. And you can always bend it back because this is very malleable. However, if you're using something as thick as this metal, it's going to be very, very tough to manipulate. Therefore, the jig will become ineffective. So you get rid of the jig, because that's not what you want to use this for. For this particular thing, you want to bring it in, and you want to take the metal, and you want to come down with wheel grinder, and you want to grind into the actual rod to where you create a groove. And I created 2 grooves for you. There's one here, and then there's another one right here. Now what that creates is a gap. So when you have a gap, you create that gap based on your measurements, and you can simply just add some manual pressure, and you bend the gap in to however much you want to, and you're able to create a fold. And you can see where that fold's created, right? So the fold's created. I'm going to do the same thing on this side as well. You come back, and you just simply bend down on it. Well, this one's a little hard. It's just not going to do it. So once you do that, we're just going to skip this one because I did not go down as deep as I needed to. But this one, we'll use an example. So what you do from here to create that bend, you can do this with multiple rods. Based on your measurements, you create the same gap on each measurement, so you bend them all exactly. And you're able to compare them to where they all match up. You can always go back, and then you're able to bring it back in. And then what you do is that you throw some welds into it. You got a MIG welder, or oxyacetylene, or whatever you made, and then you just simply weld into it. Once you weld into it, you create those beautiful knots or beads, and then you simply set it aside. Once you do that, then you can simply grind it all away, and you get something like this. As you can see here, come look at this. This is exactly the same process that I used. You bring in that weld, and you brick it in, and then you fill it in with the beads, and then you simply just grind it away. What makes it look like flawless. It looks like you actually heat bended it, but you really didn't. So this is my demo for you, Professor Brown, and I hope you've learned something, and I hope that we can continue to use this type of method for future students, because I found this very effective. Thank you for the demo. Thank you for listening. Peace out.